Welcome to Multiplying Decimals. Good afternoon, class. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about multiplying with decimals, and we're going to kind of do a little bit of a review first. Last class what we talked about just multiplying, and then what we'll do is we'll bring the decimal over, and we're trying to get rid of the decimal to bring it back. So we'll do some quick review problems. So we got 7.06 times 5. Alright. So what we did is we talked about, to get rid of the decimal first, we're going to multiply it by 10 for each number to the right of the decimal. So we're going to multiply it by 10 and then multiply it by 10 again, right? Which gives us 706 times 5. Okay? So from there, we multiply it out. 5 times 6 is 30. Carry our 3. 5 times 0 is 0 with our 3, so we add 3. 5 times 7 is 35. Okay, so we have that. Now what we're going to have to do is bring the decimals back. So one way we practice was dividing by the same amount of times we multiplied by 10. So we'll divide by 10 and divide by another 10, which will then move our decimal 2 places back. Which gives us an answer of 35.30. Alright? Alright, now I'm going to have you guys try one. We're going to try 4.01 times 2. So I'll give you a few seconds and we'll figure this out. Alright. So what was our first step? Okay, so we have to move the decimal. Good job. So we move our decimal over. So we have 401 times 2. Alright. And then what we'll do is we'll multiply it. 2 times 1, 2. 2 times 0 is 0. And 2 times 4 is 8. What do we do now?
Divide.
Okay, now we got to bring the decimal back to where we have it, right? So we had two spaces after the decimal, to the right of the decimal in the first part, so we're going to need 2 in our answer. So that gives us 802. Okay? We'll practice one more like this, and then we'll try one with a couple decimals. A decimal in both parts of the multiplication. Alright, so we have 1.99 times 4, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to move our decimal to get rid of the decimal up here in our multiplication to make it easier. So we'll move it 2 spots to the right, or multiply by 10 twice. Alright, so we have 199 times 4. When we multiply it by 10 both times, it moves it twice. Alright, so then we'll multiply it out. 4 times 9 is 36. We'll bring our 6 down. Carry our 3. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 3 is 39. Put our 9 down, carry our 3. 4 times 1 is 4. With 3, so that makes 7. Since we multiplied up here, we got to bring them back, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to divide by 10. And then divide by another 10. Doing this will bring it back twice. So we have 7.96 is our answer. So I don't know if you guys are catching a pattern, but however many decimals are in the first or in the top part is also going to be in our answer. So we'll try a different one now. Okay. We have 2.34 times 9.3. So now we have a decimal in both parts, right? Not just multiplying a decimal by a whole number. So we're going to get the decimal out of top and the bottom. So times 10 times 10. But we still have to work on the bottom, right? Times 10. So that gives us 234 times 93. Alright, so now we'll multiply it out. We have 3 times 4, which gives us 12. We'll carry our 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus the 1 is 0. So carry our 1, so that makes 10. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. We'll put our 0 to keep our place value for the tens. Then we multiply. We have 9 times 4 is 36. Carry our 3. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 3 is 30. Put a 0, we'll carry our 3. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 3 is 21. And then we'll add. So we have 2 plus 0 is 2. 0 plus 6 is 6. 7 plus 0 is 7. 1 plus 0 is 1. And 2 plus 0 is 2. So now we have 21,762. But we got to figure out where does our decimal go. So if we divide or multiplied by 3 in our original equation, 3 times 10, 10, 10, and 10, we're going to have to divide by 3 sets of 10 down here. So divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10. So doing this is going to move our decimal place over 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. So our answer to 2.34 times 9.3 is 21.762. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one of the practice exercises in the back of our book. We are doing, what is it? Class Activity 5F, multiplying decimals. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over these and we'll have you come up with the answers and then we'll talk about them. So our first one says, write a word problem for 2.7 times 1.35. So we have 2.7 times 1.35. All right? So we'll think about it. What's something that we can do to write a word problem? So come up with this word problem. We'll see. Take a second and come up with something. See what you get. Okay. All right, so you're gonna say what? You like the name Fred? Okay, we'll go with Fred. Fred bought 2.7 pounds of fish for $1.35 a pound. How much did he pay for his fish? That sounds pretty good. Okay, so Fred has 2.7 pounds of fish. Okay? And he paid $1.35 for each pound, right? Well, that's how you would set it up, isn't it? Good job. So we wrote a word problem using our decimals. So let's do number 2. We'll try this one. Ben wants to multiply 3.46 times by 1.8. He first multiplies the numbers by ignoring the decimal points. So he gets 3.46 times 1.8. So this is what Ben does. And he gets the answer 622.8. So 6,228. It says Ben knows that he only needs to figure where to put the decimal point in his answer, but can't remember the rule about where to put the decimal point. Maybe he should have paid attention to the review. Explain how Ben can reason about sizes of numbers to determine where to put the decimal point. So if you were looking at it, what's the first thing you would probably try? You'd probably round it. Good job. So if you look at it, you can try to figure, okay, 3.46, we look at this number right here to see if we're going to round up or down, right? So 4 is less than 5, right? So we're going to round down. So it's going to be 3. 1.8, 8 is higher than 5 or greater than 5. So we're going to round up. So 1.8 will be 2. So we'll look at it. 3, which is closer to 3.46, times 2, which is closer to 1.8, will give us 6, right? So if we know that, we know our number is not going to be any crazy number. So we know it's not going to be 6,228. It's not even going to be 62.28. So we know our decimal has got to go right here, right? Good job. So what Ben should have did is he should have realized, okay, well that's 3, that's 2, so it's going to be 6. So he could have just rounded. Alright, so good job. We'll try number 3 now. So it says, what if Ben's original problem in question number 2 was 3.46 times 0.18? How can he then reason about the size of numbers to determine where to put the decimal point? So if he has that, you know he's going to have close to the same thing. So he's going to have, if he disregards his numbers again and doesn't pay attention to the review, he's going to have 6,228, right? He could also round again. So we know this is closer to 3, and this is closer to what? It's not going to be 1, it's going to be 0. So we have 3 times 0. 3 times 0 is 0, right? So we know the number is not going to be greater than 1. So what do? We know our number is going to be 0.622. So we figured out that it was 6.2 or 0.6228. So that's another way you could have done it. So what we'll do is we'll try number 4, and we'll see how we do this. So it says, using a calculator, Lamisha finds that 1.5 times 1.2 equals 1.8. So this is what Lamisha got. It says she wants to know why the rule about adding the number of places behind the decimal point doesn't work in this case. Because if we look at it, we have 1, 2, right? But only 1 right here in our answer. So she's trying to, why? Why there aren't 2 digits to the right of the decimal in the answer? Is Lamisha right that the rule about adding the number of places behind the decimal doesn't work in this case? Explain our answers. So, what do you think you would try first? Okay. So, maybe try to do it out by hand and see if you get a different answer. I like it. That's a good idea. So we'll write it 1.5 times 1.2. Alright. So we're going to multiply by 10 in the top and multiply by 10 in the bottom. We want to get rid of those decimals. So that gives us 15 times 12. So we'll multiply it out now. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry our 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. We'll add our 0 for placekeeper for our 10s. 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 1 is 1. And then we'll add. So, what's 30 plus 150? 180. Okay. So then we had 2 times we multiplied 10 in our original equation. We're going to divide those 2 out to get our decimal place back to where we want it. So we'll divide by 10 and then divide by another 10. So that moves our decimal 2 places. So we have 1.80. So Lamisha had the right answer, but what her calculator did is it dropped the last 0. Rather than do it out by hand and figure it out, she did her calculator, and her calculator did one more step. 1.8 and 1.80 is the same thing. So where Lamisha is having her problem is right here with the 0. So we'll do one more problem to wrap up and see if we can put a cap on our learning, see how well you learned everything today. So we have 0.45 times 2.9. So the first step we want to do is what? Multiply by 10 to get rid of our decimal. So the first number, we're going to multiply by 10 twice. Because we have 1, 2. Okay. What about the second one? The second number. Okay. So it's 1 time. Because we only have one number. So when we rewrite it, what are we going to have? Okay. Yep, the first number will be 45. And the second number will be what? That's right, 29. So when we multiply by our tens, it's going to be 45 times 29. So we'll multiply this out now, right? Okay. 9 times 5 is what? That's right, 45. We carry our 4. 9 times 4 is what? 36. Plus 4 is 40. Okay. We'll put our 0 for the placekeeper for our 10 spot, right? And then we'll multiply the other side. We have 2 times 5. That's right, it's 10. We'll carry our 1. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus the 1 is 9, right? So we have 405 plus 900, right? So we'll add them up. We get 5 plus 0 equals 5. 0 plus 0 is 0. 4 plus 9 is what? 13. So we have 1,305. All right. So now what do we do? Okay, that's right. Since we multiplied by 10 3 times in our original equation, we have to divide 3 times by 10. Which will then move our decimal 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So 1, 2, 3. So 1.305. That's our final answer. Good job. All right, so that is our lesson today for multiplying by decimals. So we'll see how well you did next time when our test comes around.